Hello and welcome to the assembly and operation video for the Aristocrat version 3.5. This one, as opposed to the version 3, features a lot more assembly updates as well. So everything should go together very smoothly and stay that way and minimize a whole lot of the jank. Also, it operates marginally better, and some interesting discoveries have allowed it to shoot any ammo type very effectively with no jank at all. Before we begin, you will need one of every part in the file set. Here I have the main body, we have the trigger ring, we got these parts over here. You will need 2 of these parts labeled string catch here, and the rest you should need only 1 of each. Additionally, I recommend having some strap apparatus to strap it to your arm. I just have these Velcro straps here. You will want some string, so you can tie the string to the rest of the blaster and tie it to the trigger ring here so you can trigger the device. I recommend this nylon kite string. It slips along the print very well and has a very high tensile strength. You will also want some rubber bands for the elastic mechanisms every once in a while. And you will want some 4mm diameter elastic paracord to power the device. Without it, you can't trigger anything. To the end of the elastic paracord here, I recommend having some nice workhorse scissors there, very sharp, very useful. Don't just use like school scissors, and a lighter to singe it. All right, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take a nice long length of string, about, twice or maybe even 3 times if you really want the length of the main body there. And you're gonna wanna take the release print here and just tie it around that first little hole there, like so. Nice and secure. You're gonna be pulling on this quite a lot, so you don't want that to slip in the middle of combat. That would be rather awkward. Next, we're going to want to take our main body here. Just as a side note, the main body can be printed now without supports, but I would recommend a brim that you will want to take off later. Also, I suppose I should mention 20% infill, 5 walls if you want all these things to be strong. I printed on the default 15% infill with 3 walls for all of my parts. It works just fine. I haven't had any breakages at all. So really, you're free to print however you want for all of the parts here. In any case, you're gonna wanna take the string here and thread it through the back of your device, and you're gonna wanna thread it all the way until it comes out the front of the device on the other side. That hole right there, you can see it pokes all the way through. I'm going to cut the camera and do that right now. All right, I'm back. I got the release fully inside there. It doesn't have to go quite that far in. Push it back some. But you'll notice that whenever I pull on the string, the release does go forwards. Get back, go on. Shoot, get back in there. Okay. Next, I'm going to take the release bar here, and this part should friction fit quite nicely into that little rectangular hole right in there in the release. So we're just gonna slide that bar in here. If it does not fit very nicely, you're welcome to either sand, file, or glue it as necessary in place. With my printer, you shouldn't have to, and with many others I've spoken to, that doesn't seem to be quite a concern. Although, if it is a concern for you, just glue it. It shouldn't be that big of a bother. Anyways, at this point in time, you should be ensuring that you got a nice smooth slide along there. If you don't, sanding and filing the necessary parts is a good idea, but this is going to be your trigger mechanism, and so you really do want that to be as smooth as possible. I suppose the next step will be to insert the string catches here. So you're gonna need both of these, and what I've labeled the crossbow hinge pin. Now, a note on these pins. I've been trying something very special lately. I think they'll have a good bit of success. Because printer tolerances vary from printer to printer, what I've done here is I've made most of this pin the standard 0.2mm offset for friction fits, But at one end of this pin, it's very difficult to detect. I don't even know if this camera will focus properly, let alone show it. There's a very slight taper, and that taper will taper to flush. So whenever you put in this pin, do not stick it in all the way or you will crack your print. Simply push it in as far as it will go, and it should wedge in place and will not fall out. So it's very important that you also do not stick it in taper side first, because then you will again crack the print. With that being said, all we should have to do is slide these crossbow releases in place, take the pin, slide it in place as well, like so. The other one slots in the top there as well. Should be able to do that. There. Note that this pin isn't quite flush. I can slide this thing along and it'll stop right here. So just firmly press that, but don't crack the print, of course. And it shouldn't fall out. In fact, I can push on this end and it will give me very firm resistance. So I'm very happy to try that out. Hopefully it works well for you. Yell at me in the comment section if it doesn't. In any case, now these string catches should be in place. Make sure that they can slide freely and just move a little bit. They have plenty of play there. That's going to be what's holding on to and dropping the string, so it's very important that everything operates smoothly there. We might as well do the retaining arm next. The order of this operation doesn't quite matter. You might notice that I have threaded a rubber band through the hole right here. I like to do that beforehand and off camera, just because it's so much of a hassle nowadays. And I'm going to put that right here. I'm going to take the file labeled retaining arm hinge pin, and in a similar manner, this one also sports a taper. I believe it is on this side. So I'm going to be taking the pin and sticking the untapered side in through there. It should friction fit with the main body, but loosely fit with this retaining arm here. And again, it does not go all the way in. There's a little bit sticking out there, and that is fine that it isn't flush. Do not force it or it will crack. However, again, it will not come out no matter what you do. Well, that's not true. If you were to push with enough force to take it out, it will come out. The point is, you will then take the rubber band and hook it around these two back hooks of the main body, like so. Now, whenever you move the retaining arm up, you should feel a decent bit of restraining force. This is going to be what holds our ammunition in place whenever we load it into the device. If you would like more force on yours, simply add more rubber bands or do what you need to in that regard. I haven't had so much force in one of these before that it will prevent the dart from flying out, so it's really up to you what rubber bands and how many you think you should use. While we're on the topic of rubber bands, you should take another rubber band here and slide it around this part of the release bar. We're going to wrap it around the back of the device and slip it on the other end of the release bar, like so. That's your trigger return spring there. Mine is a little tight, which means my device will be a little hard to trigger. But I mean, so many varieties of rubber bands exist, you can always adjust that with a different rubber band later. Next up is the priming arm assembly. You will need the priming arm hinge pin, the priming grip, I believe it is called, and priming arm R and L. Whenever you assemble these, make sure that these little shark fin things face away from the device, and that will be very important later. To begin, take your thing and take the priming arm hinge pin. This pin features a 0.1 millimeter taper around this end here to help keep things in place, and a stopper on that end to stop it from coming out that side. Take one of your priming arms and insert the pin. It should firmly go into place. You might need to tap it through, but you shouldn't need to break anything to make it happen. And it should slide right in, like so. Next, on this end, we're going to be taking the priming grip, again, featuring 0.1 millimeter tapers on the end and a stopper right here to make sure it stops at the right distance. You're going to take this, and it should click into place rather well, but not want to come out very effectively. And that is a good sign. You're going to want to take the other one and rotate it and stick it onto the grip here, but not stick it onto the hinge just yet. Next, you will take this assembly and thread it through this hole of the device. And then finally, hinge this thing around and click it nicely into place like so. If all went well, you should have a nice hinge mechanism like so. And it shouldn't want to come out very easily. It won't slip out when you're in battle, and I think I've done a pretty good job. What I have done next is just cut myself a length of 4mm elastic paracord. And whenever you make a fresh cut of this stuff, you'll notice that the end frays quite a bit. To fix that, we're going to take a lighter and just melt that fraying stuff to the cord. You'll notice it has a white stretchy cord and the outside is something braided. What we are first going to do is tie a knot, just a singular knot. It's not really that big of a deal. In the end of it, like so. And then we're going to take our device and we're going to be threading our paracord through this hole right here in this direction. So if I can stick it through, come on now. Why is it that I always make myself look like such a fool on camera? I can do this off camera with my eyes closed. There it goes. Anyways, when you've done it, the knot will stop the rest of the string from going through, and the knot will be facing on the inside. Next, hinge the priming hinge down, and you are going to be wrapping the elastic cord around this little shark fin thing on this side, around the shark fin thing on that side, and threading it through this hole. Like so. Pull that firmly tight, and what you want to see is a decent bit of tension on this bit right here. Don't have it slack, but don't have it too terribly tight or you won't be able to prime this thing. You want enough tension that it will remain straight like so. I'm going to equalize the tension here by pulling on this. Oh dear, it has come unhooked. I look like a fool again on camera. And there we go. That is perfect. Now that I have it all tensioned properly, I'm going to pinch right here where I have pulled the string through. And then I'm going to unhook the string off of those shark fins here and pull it tight. Now you will notice I have still kept my fingers pinched right here. This is the spot in which you will want to tie another knot. So let me unhook that from here. Pull that tight so I get a little extra slack to work with. And then get that knot tied. I always have my finger pinched on the cord somewhere, so I know approximately where the knot should be. Right there should be good enough for going on right now. We can always retension the string later. So next I'm going to pull that back out, flip the arm back down, and rehook the string around the shark fins like so. Excellent. We haven't had a video cut in a while, so I'll do that now. Now that we have everything strung up, it'll be a good idea to test the priming of this device. It'll be a little awkward for me to hold since it's not strapped to my arm at the moment, but I'll show you how it works. To prime the device, take the priming handle and lift it up and pull it all the way back. It looks a lot less awkward when this thing is strapped to your arm, I promise. Now, during the tying of the string here, you do not want the paracord to be so tight that it does not stretch all the way to hook along the string catches here. Likewise, you do not want it to be so loose that you lose power by not having it stretched to its fullest potential. I seem to have gotten a fairly good balance of stretch and not stretch here, and so it should all work properly. Later, we're going to be attaching the triggering, so when this string is pulled, everything will trigger. But in the meantime, this back pusher here should also trigger the device. And I'm going to not dry fire everything and let it safely come to rest. Note that sometimes you may notice there's a lot of friction when pushing this button to trigger the device. That is normal, that is a known issue, but it is not an issue in the fullest sense of the word, because when you attach the trigger ring and trigger it via the trigger ring, that is barely noticeable and not a problem. Once our string is fully tensioned and everything, we're going to cut off this slack here. So, once more, unhook it from the shark fins now that our test is complete. Make sure this nylon string is disentangled here. And pull that knot out here. We're going to take our scissors and cut the string at an appropriate spot. These scissors are dull. These things always tend to happen. I ought to sharpen them soon. I will use my pocket knife. Excellent. And then, since we have made a fresh cut, it will fray unless we singe it. And that should be all good to go. I'm gonna make sure that knot is extra tight and permanent. And once more, restring up the device. Excellent. The time has now come to strap the device to your arm for the first time. Now, I know that my videos are exceptionally low quality, but even I'm not stupid enough to try to strap this to my arm while keeping everything in frame. I'm filming this on an iPhone on a stand made of Legos, for pity's sake. Anyways, I do have these straps here that I've contrived. They're just Velcro. I got them from the hardware store. Cut them from a roll. But you can use whatever you like. I've used Velcro cable organizer straps before, or I've also seen some leather things that people have been making. In any case, you have 4 holes here, 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 and here, and if you can fit a strap through them, you're welcome to use it. Pull mine through like so. And it is pointless and boring to film anymore. Hello, I'm back. Notice anything different about me? That's right, I did get a new haircut. Thank you for noticing. But back to the Aristocrat. So, I've strapped it to my arm here, and a couple things to consider. Firstly, if you're using Velcro, you probably want the soft side facing inward because that would really suck to wear for an extended period of time with the sharp stuff dragging on you. Secondly, you want this first strap here to be strapped behind the ball of your wrist so it doesn't slide forward as much as possible. You want to prevent that under any circumstances while we are tying the trigger string. More on that in a moment. You want the straps to be nice and tight. Cutting off circulation is optional. I don't recommend it. But if you want your hands to be blue and numb while using this, that is your prerogative. I can't stop you. I'm going to make sure this back strap is a little tighter to stop any slippage. I know I promised myself I'd do this off camera, but I simply can't resist making such a fool of myself. In any case, there we go. It's all strapped up, it looks nice and well. It should be comfortable, but still firm. That is very important. To minimize all the jank, you need good straps. Once it is strapped and firm, so you are satisfied that it will not move forward, you can move on to the next step. I have here this trigger ring. Now, I've built this trigger ring around the dimensions of my fingers specifically, which are notably long and spidery. The interior diameter of this ring here is 20 millimeters. As best I can remember, it's been a while. Anyways, you are welcome to scale this up or down as required in your slicer to make it sure it fits your fingers. When you do so, make sure you disable uniform scaling so that this vertical thing doesn't scale too much because it's just a hassle. Anyways, I'm going to take this ring and slip it onto my trigger finger. Now, if this were Lord of the Rings, I would be invisible right now and this video would be a pain. Fortunately, it is not. Next, I'm going to be taking this string that we threaded oh so long ago and thread it through the top of the ring here. Oh, one note, forgot to mention, the little duckbill thing on the ring faces inwards. It's just an ergonomics thing to stop the ring from cutting into you later. Anyways, we have the string here. I'm going to pull it tight and bend it around here, like so. Now, I'm going to do the rest off camera because, again, it is really hard to keep all of this in frame. But the bottom line is, I want this string to be taut at rest with that release bar back here. I don't want the release bar to be pulling forward unless my wrist is pulling down at all. Likewise, I don't want it to be too loose. Otherwise, if it is too loose, I will have to move my wrist all the way down here at an awkward angle to trigger the device. So you gotta find the balance, and it is nearly impossible to demonstrate on camera. And so I will demonstrate off camera and get back to you. Oh, hi, didn't see you there. I'm back now. Okay. So I did manage it. When my hand is in line and my wrist is straight, you'll notice the string is also straight. This is a good sign. If it is not, when you are at a resting position, I suggest changing that. And that might mean you need to restring the entire device. It's a hassle, I know, but if you don't have a good string length, this whole thing is going to be janky and hard to trigger, and you might not be as satisfied with it as I am. In any case, now that the string is tight, I can trim off the excess and go from there. Excellent. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you've reached the operations section. Thank you for sticking around this long. You must be really bored by now. Don't worry, it'll pick up very soon. Like I've said in previous videos, the Aristocrat can fire any ammo type, and I do mean any, including things that may or may not be actually Nerf. But don't do that, please. It's a hassle for everybody who happens to be on the wrong end of this device. Here are the most common ammo types that Nerf and other companies have produced. We have Mega XL, Mega, a Rival Round. We have 2 normal darts and 2 half-length darts, all of which can be fired out of this device. I haven't got any Vortex rings on hand, nor any Nerf Ultra darts, but those can also be used more or less fine. To start, we're going to prime the device. Simply bring it up until the string clicks behind those string catches there. Next, let's load an ammo. Let's start with the Mega XL. Just flip it up so that retaining arm flips up, slide it into place till it touches the string, and then whenever you're ready, move your wrist down to fire it. It's very difficult to get that on camera. Note that you can technically move your finger as well or curl it into a fist to fire it, although due to the way leverage works, that really doesn't move the string all too much, so it's best just to use the Super Battle Droid approach. Likewise, with Mega, it's really the same deal. You just go like that, slide it in there, the retaining arm holds it in place, so you can just do whatever you want, and then boom when you need it. The Mega XLs, due to their size, weight, and bulk, do tend to fall out occasionally, but the Megas stay in there pretty well. It also depends on the tension of your retaining arm. Now, for rival rounds, they do tend to plink up and arc whenever you fire them out of here, but they do fire, and it is rather fun. Simply stick it under the retaining arm right there. There's that little curve foot thing where you can just stick it in, and there it goes. I'll have to pick that up later. Normal darts and half darts operate a little differently. You see, if you were to load a singular normal dart into the device, like so, it will jam. It's difficult to get that on camera, and I do apologize. But you'll see what I mean if you've gotten this far. The string will hop up and over to the dart, and it'll jam like so. That's not very fun. Fortunately, there's a very easy and very consistent and very effective solution to this. Double loading. If you load 2 darts into the device at the same time, in parallel like so, they will be equally spaced, and they will space themselves very effectively right in there. And when you fire, you get a little shotgun blast. I will have to pick those up later too. Same deal with half darts, except you sort of have to space them yourself, and, oh dear, they're a little more awkward to deal with. The camera makes me look like a fool. I always do this. Take the half darts under the retaining arm, right there like so, and you have yourself a shotgun blast again. You may mix normal and half dart sizes just fine as well. I've noticed it fires quite effectively. But yeah. So thank you for sitting through all this. It seems like a rush job because it was. Video quality has never been my priority. Simply an explanation of how to put together and use this item. This thing has been in development for such a long time, and it has been, I say development, I use it very loosely, because it has just been me sitting in my parents' attic, sort of just making guesses on design choices and seeing what works. I originally had the idea to make like a Monster Hunter World type slinger weapon, if you know Capcom's Monster Hunter World franchise. And then I started playing Assassin's Creed a little bit, so I got a couple of the design shapes and things from Assassin's Creed just to give it a nice vibe to it. And now I'm very satisfied with the result. It shoots any ammo type, it shoots everything rather well, and it doesn't even take up a hand to use, so you can theoretically hold a different Nerf Blaster, and then whenever you need a really big ammo, you can just fire that off your wrist like that. Thank you for watching. The files are available for purchase on my Etsy page if you haven't done so already. I will link that in the description, and I hope you do have a wonderful day.